Here we go. Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm Zoe, and I'm from University of Michigan Waterski team, and I am guest podcast hosting Joey's podcast, We Love Collegiate Waterskiing, on this special edition with three really cool guests for Women in Leadership for Collegiate Waterskiing. So the purpose of this panel is to kind of connect and engage the collegiate water ski community around the perspective of female new members, female team leaders, and hopefully to build better communities for all teams on and off the water. So with that, I will throw it to Anna for an introduction.
Yeah, hello. So my name's Anna Pryor. I go to Ohio State, and I'm the president of the team. I'm from Boulder, Colorado, and my major is arts management.
Awesome.
Allie?
I'm like, do we just talk? Okay. I'm glad this gets edited. Hi, my name is Allison Heinrichs, and I go to the University of Nebraska. This is my 4th year of school, and I'll be doing 5 years, so 1 more year. And I'm currently the president at Nebraska, and I worked at Bennett's over the summer, and here I am. I feel like I'm missing points. I don't know what I'm doing.
Hi, I'm Ange. I am skiing my 4th year at Western Michigan as the women's captain. Actually, I won't be skiing, unfortunately, this season because I tore my ACL meniscus, but I will still be at everything, cheering my team on, as good women in leadership roles do. I went to AWSA Nationals for the first time this last summer, and I will be working at Bennett's this summer as a kids camp director, following in Allie's footsteps.
We've got a lot of Bennett's experience on this panel. Again, thank you all for chatting with me tonight. It's a Monday night, so first day of the week, pretty tired, but to get right into it, and whoever wants to answer questions first, whoever comes up with an idea at the top of your head first, go for it. Very free flow. So the first question I have prepared is thinking about getting girls into the sport. And knowing all of your backgrounds, for Allison and Anna, you both, similar to me, grew up free skiing, never really competed before college, and then really learned a lot and had that learning curve in college with competition. And then Ange, who completely learned how to ski in college for the most part, a little different. What drove you, and to now everyone being really wickedly good at skiing, what drove you to becoming the athlete you are in the transition from free skiing to competition at high levels in all the 3 events?
I'm going to jump in real quick because I love this question. For me, it's competition based. I love feeling like I can compete, and I've spent a lot of my life competing against guys, and I think that water skiing kind of works in the same way, although you are co-ed, so it's super cool to be able to work with the guys but have them work with you as well. You are working together to create a better team, and normally you have the guys guys are a lot better in this sport. It's really fun to watch, but for me it was just trying to keep up, and I really wanted to, in my case, my goal was to make it to All-Stars, and I just learned today that I made All-Stars, so
Congratulations.
Thank you. Really excited. But yeah, it was, seeing how competitive the sport was, and people are so cool. Nobody, judges anyone for how they do when they ski. So it's however you progress yourself, and I like to compete, so here we are.
So I'll follow up to answer that question. So I cheered for Western Michigan my freshman year. So I was used to being on a D1 team. And then after I realized that that really wasn't working out for me anymore due to head injuries. And then I saw the boat on campus. I was like, oh, this might be a cool way to kind of fill that void and stuff. So after trying it out, I realized that it was really awesome, and just kept practicing. And I got lucky with being able to practice at I met my boyfriend at a water ski tournament. The first water ski tournament, actually, it's the one in Wilmington. A lot of college teams go to. It's called Fish Fry. So I highly recommend that tournament to literally anybody who's listening to this podcast, because it was a blast, and I met my boyfriend there. So I got lucky with the site, and just skiing with those three boys on that lake and how talented they are. Like Allie, being surrounded by the best athletes. I didn't want to be the worst one in the boat. And I just like being competitive. And I liked the fact that with cheer, it was like you kind of had to, I like working as a team, but with at least AWSA, you could kind of push yourself, like I don't have to rely on anyone else to hold this stunt up. And it was just all me, like pedal to the metal, like full gas, like I was just ready to roll and become a badass.
Hell yeah, love that. Did you have anything you wanted to add to that, Anna?
Yeah, this sport is awesome. Obviously, I think what drew me to it was that, like, immediately right off the bat, just by joining, I had all these friends, and being like an out-of-state student, not knowing anyone, and then by the first weekend of school, these kids being like, come to this tournament, like, we'll be your friends, really drew me in. And I definitely owe that to like the older girls on the team at the time, and they were all such good leaders, and I became such good friends with them and really just followed in their footsteps. So
Sweet. So what I'm hearing is that one, the competition of the sport really allows you to push yourself, and that's very endearing. And then two, having a good community to jump onto. I know that's how I felt my freshman year joining Michigan's team. And especially for the out of state kids who you're in a completely new state, and the water ski community is very friendly and they really want to make friends with everyone. So it's a great community to join. Um, so recognizing that, like what drove you to become the athlete where you're at, thinking back to when you did join the team, do you remember, or a lot of times jumping on that boat, the first practice I know Allie and Ange, you both mentioned being with guys that were really good. Um, you jump on a boat and sometimes it can be pretty intimidating. You're not very good, but also like really exciting and fun. Everyone's chill, they're water skiers. So what was your initial like practice first like? And did you feel welcomed? What was it like? What did your team do good? What did they do bad?
I have a funny story for this one. Because my first practice, I didn't have the ski that I grew up on. And the ski that I grew up on was massive. And then they're like, oh, this 65-inch ski, this will be great for you. This is perfect. And there's all of these great people, and we're at a private lake. And I'm like, I'm going to do awesome. I know how to slalom. I free skied before. Great.
Yes. Yeah.
I can't even get up on the ski, and massive ego check right off the bat. I think everyone who has free skied before gets that ego check feeling, because all of a sudden you know nothing. And it's after that ego check, you are just driven because you get to these tournaments and we have a small team. So I'm all of a sudden thrown onto the women's A team. And I can get a quarter buoy. I can't land a jump, and I'm kneeboarding. And so I'm just like, this is not what I expected tournaments to be like. I'm like, I want to be top. I want to be skiing courses. I want to be on a trick ski, spinning around in circles, because those people are so cool. And well, I actually really wanted to learn how to do a flip, but we don't need to talk about that because I don't
excited you being placed on the A team, being at the lower skill level, to like, did it kind of more push your competition and drive?
Absolutely.
That's interesting. It would scare me.
It was well, and it was so much fun, and like I said, since nobody judges you based off of your
Mhm.
skill level, it's so cool to be around such great people who, you can fall at one ball and people are still running down the lake to pick up
Yeah.
your ski, and, you can go out kneeboarding and everybody's just like, "You're on a kneeboard?" I went out on a kneeboard in a stormtrooper onesie at regionals just because we didn't even have a full women's team. There was no chance. So I was just like, screw the trick ski. Here we go, just for fun. And it's just a blast. You can't go wrong.
So that ego check at your first practice really
Oh,
kind of propelled
absolutely.
you into the sport and got you excited about it.
Ego check and falling at one ball at every single tournament. You can't go wrong.
Yeah, I can hop on. Allie, I had a very similar experience of showing up and being like, I know how to free ski, like I got this. And then they passed me the handle, and I had never not used like a cheater rope, like an easy up handle. And I was like, what is this? Like I cannot get up. And I asked people in the boat if they had one, and we call them cheater ropes. I don't know, but they call them easy up handles here. I was like, do you guys have a cheater rope? And they were like, what even is that? And then they finally found one, and I was able to get up. But I was like, all right, step one, drop the cheater rope. Obviously, no one uses that here. Um, but yeah, I think, as I said earlier, we had some really great women on the team my freshman year. And one of my really good friends, Claire, who I'm still really good friends with, was like, yeah, you could be good at this, like you should definitely join the team and keep skiing. And looking back, she probably was just like trying to get me to join the team, but it
Mhm.
really like motivated me. I was like, wow, she thinks I can be good at this. Okay, so that was really encouraging.
So my first experience going to Western ski practice, I was the only girl in the boat, and I just remember them going absolutely insane when I got up on the slalom ski, and they were all just like hooting and hollering, and I was like, I literally just like only got up, like I don't know why this is like I was just like, wow, they must really like me, like want me here because I got up on this thing. And like, so I don't know, I felt really good about myself. So I guess what I learned from that experience is that whenever I have like, and I was kind of nervous because I was the only girl out there, and at the time we only had like 2 or 3 girls on Western's team alone. So,
Mhm.
and they happened not to go out on the boat that day. Um, but yeah, so I think my thing now is that I celebrate every single small victory whenever we have a new person come out. Even if they just get up on the jump, like if I first we try the double skis, if they don't do that, then we try the jumpers, like just get them up on something, make them have fun and like really celebrate it. Like I get everyone hyped in the boat, like they just got up on a ski. This is a big deal. Like, and then because that's that initial like celebration, what like getting like watching all the boys get so excited for me was like that just made me feel like I was like, wow, no, like no one on cheer ever got that excited for me about anything. And so I celebrate all the small victories. Um, just go crazy with when someone gets a side slide, like, so that was
I
my first.
love that a lot. It's something I've tried to focus on more with my own team and celebrating the small victories with because it can be really hard, and I've heard it echoed throughout new members in general with being out on the boat immediately with someone who's skiing into short line and being like, whoa, what the heck is this? This is a lot, and then not being able to get up on a ski. So really a common theme I heard was a lot of encouragement on the boat from those older members and also letting it be known. We say at Michigan a lot, we ski with anyone who wants to ski with us, all skill levels welcomed. I think most teams are like that. And like that really pushes that community, encouraging and celebrating the little victories a lot, especially with new members new members in general with skill level, and especially new member females, because I think your experience and just similar to a lot of girls on boats that don't have with a lot of teams that don't have a lot of girls too. So that like really exciting and excitement is really important. And I'm glad you all had really positive first experiences on your teams. That's really exciting. Okay, transitioning now to talking from being a new member and getting excited about the sport and then getting good at the sport to leadership. Can you all pinpoint where in your skiing career collegiately what drove you to take on a leadership position? Was it something you wanted to change? Did you know you could be captain because you can cheer people on really well, or you wanted to grow the team? Like what were your platforms? Why did you want to be in the position you're in?
Okay, I feel like I've started every time, but I'm sorry. Here we go. My freshman year, we didn't even really have a women's captain. We had one, but she wasn't able to come to a lot of the tournaments. So, being captain at tournaments is a big deal because you're normally the one that, gets people off the dock. If people are uncomfortable, you go pep talk them, you get them hyped up, you go dance on the dock, go crazy. But we didn't have that. And thankfully, the rest of the team was super excited all the time anyway. So it wasn't a big deal, but I kind of took on the role my freshman year because our women's captain wasn't around very often. She was really busy, so I don't blame her at all. Love her. So I took on that role kind of my freshman year. I actually took the role my sophomore year and loved every bit of it. I love getting to talk to my freshmen and my new members and getting everybody just positive and ready to rock and roll. And that transition to me becoming president after I worked a lot with our previous president. And you know, you start out in these small leadership roles and you realize how dedicated you are to the sport and how much it really means to you, and you just want to keep doing more and more. And I love getting to learn the ups and downs of everything that's nitty gritty between just collegiate tournaments, maybe running your own tournament, and creating new relationships with lake owners, or just people who own boats or ski anyway. You talk to so many people, and getting to build those relationships is so cool. And I've really enjoyed that piece of getting to be president and working with all of these incredible people that people don't even know exist because they don't know the sport. And if they only knew, you get one step into water ski world and you're stuck. You
Uh,
can only go up.
I want to follow up with that because I had a similar path with serving as our women's captain and then to now serving as our president. And they're two very different roles and they both hold a lot of weight and responsibility, captains, especially in season and during tournaments. What kind of was your motivation for switching roles, and how do you think you've been able to have an impact on your team in both of the different roles?
Good question. As captain, I spent a lot of time working with our new recruits and like spending a ton of time in the boats trying to teach and with recruitment. And I loved getting to try to motivate people into, join our team. I promise you're going to love it. It's really weird recruiting for water skiing because everybody's just kind of like, nah, I wouldn't be good at that. But it's motivational and you really get direct contact with all your new skiers, and I love it. But then transitioning to president and why I wanted to, we had just made big changes in how our team was actually run, so that we could increase the amount of ski time we were getting, and changing just the entire structure of the leadership roles so that maybe things would be a little bit more fluid. And I worked a lot with trying to build those roles and wanted to keep those going when our previous president had to step down. So goal was just try to keep the team moving, because the more that we moved and skied and got people out of the water, the bigger our team got. And it ended up getting really big, and we ended up having full women's teams plus, which we had never seen before. So it was just exciting to try and keep our team growing. So
it's pretty rewarding to see the impact that different actions can have over the course of the team, because to point out, as we're all leaders on our own teams, the water ski organizations are really run by the students. So not a lot of teams have coaches, and if you do, they maybe come out on a boat here and there, but everyone on leadership runs the team, and everyone that helps leadership runs the team. So all the work we put in does make a good impact. Welcome, Allie. Hello.
Hello,
Thanks for
thank
joining
you.
us.
Sorry I'm late.
That's totally fine. We've just been going through some questions, answering. It's a pretty free flow format. It is being recorded for Joey's podcast. And right now, if you want to do a quick introduction, I don't know if he'd edit it towards the beginning or not. Let me repop what you can, well, it's just years you've competed, what year you are in school, any leadership positions held, if you want to mention if you worked at a ski school, competing at any tournaments that you hold near and dear to your heart, or anything you're super passionate about skiing, or if you're coming back from any injuries, anything that floats your boat with what's important to you. I'll let you introduce yourself, and then I'll re-say the question and we can get back to it.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm Allie Steele. I just graduated from the University of Cincinnati in December. Worst thing I ever did, never leave college. It's horrible. Being an adult sucks. And before that, I skied for Western Michigan. And I'm from Michigan. And in the middle of all that, I lived on a lake and skied with Zoe all summer long. Yeah, let's see. I skied from 2017 until now-ish, I guess. I took a year off in the middle, obviously, when I transferred. And just my luck, they got rid of the transfer rule like the year after it applied to me. But hey, it happens. I was the vice president at Western. And then I was the women's captain at UC. So let's see, I ski in the summer. I spent a lot of time at Swerve. I never actually worked there, but I made it on the website. So not a big deal or anything. And yeah, I ski summer tournaments. And my favorite is actually, cover your ears, Zoe, the OSU alumni tournament. It's the best tournament of the year. It's the best. I love it. So it's like,
I've heard good things.
It really is. It's like all the best of AWSA and all the best of college, just like all in one tournament. So
I need to go.
You do.
Everyone should come. Everyone listening out there in podcast world should come to OSU alumni.
It's the best.
It's kind of fun.
When?
All right, so we were at pinpointing in your skiing career, what drove you to take on the leadership positions you have or had in your collegiate teams? And we left off with Allison giving us a really good answer about taking on a leadership position at Nebraska's team, because a couple of people had stepped down from the captain role and then just really coming into it and then making a lot of good procedural changes as president that really impact the entire team, because we run our teams as leadership.
Yeah. So I guess I kind of like dove in head first, like I did with a lot of things. I try not to do that anymore because it's backfired a couple times in my life. So I've definitely learned as I've grown older. But when I started skiing at Western, there was like no girls on the team. And Scott Garber, actually from Michigan, we went to high school together. And when he found out I was transferring to Western, he was like, oh my God, Allie, you need to water ski. Don't ask me any questions, just do it. And so that actually was part of the reason that I was like, oh, you're right, got to do this. So I went and found him, joined the team. And there really weren't any girls on the team. Like there was a couple girls, Josie Nason was on the team and Rachel Wheat was kind of on the team. And like, that was pretty much it. Like, you know, there's just me and one other girl. And so obviously all the leadership was men And I just like quickly fell in love with water skiing, and I was really, really intimidated by the boys on the team, which is funny looking back that I was so intimidated because I could ski circles around every single one of them today.
I
Like
feel you, Allie.
I can't believe I ever was so intimidated by Devin Thompson. I mean, he was a cutie, but like I can ski way better than he can now.
We did mention briefly the reason, the drive everyone had to becoming the great athletes they are today. That was one of the first questions. And a lot of it was being out in the boat with a bunch of really great skiers, a couple
Yeah.
guys, also a couple really good female leaders. Shout out to OSU, and that driving some competition to get people skiing better.
Yeah, absolutely. So I immediately was like, I got to do this. I need a girls team because I don't want to hang out with all these boys all the time. Like, and we had elections. Western always had a short season when I was there. They never made it to regionals. So we had elections pretty quick after I had met everyone. So I was pretty quickly elected vice president. And I had a really rocky / interesting relationship with their president. And I hadn't learned enough about like my own leadership style yet, and about just like how to lead in general, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I definitely have some regrets about like how I left Western. But it be like that sometimes. But honestly, I feel like Ange did a lot like after I left, to really like fill in a lot of gaps of like things I had envisioned, but just like didn't have the patience to like put up with the boys through, kind of. So I definitely admire her for that, for sure.
Well, Allie is probably the reason why I am here as well. Allie brought me in before she left, so.
Good.
Anna, Ange, do either of you have anything
great
to add to kind of what drove you to take on your positions in your team?
So Allie actually encouraged me to take my position. So like Allie was saying, Allie was us, and then maybe a couple other girls were on the team. But shortly before Allie left, Allie kind of said, "Hey, we never had a women's captain before, so I think you should do it." And I was like, really?" So I kind of got in my leadership position that way, and I gladly took it. And I think I just enjoy like cheering people on. I love the dock parties. I think that my leadership role is, as you said earlier, Zoe, is highly time demanding during season. But being on the water and working with people on their ski skills is my favorite part about my position. So during the season, I don't even know what school really is. I'm usually just on the boat with my team, just pulling them. If someone wants to ski at 6 a.m, we are going skiing at 6 a.m. It's the only time that they can go. So that's kind of how I fell into that place, that just like my love for skiing. And I honestly get more excited when people learn new tricks and get more buoys and things like that than when I do now. So
that's really exciting. I find really good captains have a common theme of putting all of their skier development before everything else, especially during ski season, where they are driving. There's sometimes skipping class, doing whatever they need to get their skiers out in the water and prepared. Anna, did you have anything?
Yeah.
It's edited.
Anyways, yeah, freshman year, like I said, we had some really great leaders on the team. Andrew Shea was our president. Kristen Dameyer was our women's captain. We had Kevin Dameyer, all those people who are super great. And I think it was Kristen that was just like, you should run for, secretary or treasurer, like one of the smaller commitment positions. And I just really, by the time elections came around in April, was super committed to the team, had the best fall ever. they become, my best friends. And I just really saw myself in the future, like being like Andrew and Kristen and Zach Brannon and all those people and leading the team. So I just kind of set my mind to it freshman year that I was going to be president, and here I am. So yeah.
So it sounded like you had a lot of encouragement from older members as a freshman that led you to having a lot of buy-in, that then eventually led you to wanting to take those leadership position and like go into their shoes.
Yeah, definitely.
Can we just take a moment? Anna has not even mentioned being chairwoman of the Great Lakes. Like,
Yes, I am chairwoman
I
of
was
the
thinking the
Great
same.
Lakes Conference. Allie said in the chat that she asked what the date of OC alumni tournament is, which it's Labor Day weekend every fall. So, and St. Mary's, Ohio. But yes, I am the Great Lakes Conference chairwoman, which has been such an awesome experience this year. I was very lucky to take Maggie Peplow's spot, which was really big shoes to fill. But it's been so great getting to know the people on the board that I didn't know, and getting to sit in on those meetings and not just make decisions for my team, but for the whole region, which has been really, really exciting. And it's been great, especially during a COVID year where there wasn't, it was a little disappointing with my team. Obviously, we didn't have a season. There wasn't too much to do. So it was really exciting to get another opportunity to be involved in the sport.
That's amazing. Okay, so switching gears, this panel in general is a lot of very seasoned athletes and a lot of very seasoned leadership people in roles, as in we've all been in leadership for a couple of years and we've been skiing for a couple of years now. So looking back to when you were a freshman or sophomore or junior, senior, whenever you first joined collegiate water skiing, and you were new to the sport, eyes wide open, getting over that intense learning curve of learning everything with skiing, and then transitioning into a leadership role and working with maybe politics, maybe not politics on the team, but also trying to keep that like good gender ratio going and good just team chemistry in general. When you have a team of a bunch of college kids are just dorks and crazy sometimes. What advice would you give to women leaders who are those freshmen and sophomore now joining their teams and maybe jumping on to leadership? Words of encouragement, advice from your own experience?
for me, it was huge just looking up to other women, whether they were just athletes or, just encouraging you to do better. And I hate to make it sound weird or not, but like Allie was a big deal for me to try and jump into skiing. I didn't know of any okay, I'm in the Great Plains Conference, so we don't have a lot of huge skiers. And she was the first one that I talked to that was a short line skier as someone who, came into this collegiately. And I was like, okay, people can do this. There are women out there that can shoreline ski. And that was like my biggest goal besides making all stars. And it's a huge deal to just feel like there are other people out there that are wanting to take the leap or do more, or like I enjoy the sport so much that the more that I can do, the more people that I know, the more I enjoy it. And like I can easily say that I have more friends in other states than I do at my own college. Like that sounds absurd, but it's true. And I think taking on my role has really just helped me push myself further. And I would have had no confidence in working at Bennett's, but having other people around me and getting to take like these miniature steps along the way, starting with captain and then moving forward and forward, it meant everything in the world to feel more comfortable there. And it was awesome that I could hang out more with Anna because, these other teams, the more you get to know them, the better. And I think that just each little step that you can take is so important. So meet new people, talk to people, even if you're not in a leadership role, go and talk to other teams because they could be your biggest encouragement. They're not scary. They're the coolest people you ever meet. So branch out and enjoy the process. So yeah.
I could
Right.
say that's pretty similar for because when I was a freshman or a sophomore, I mean, some of you guys were like the older people in general. And I remember seeing you around tournaments when I could not ski at all. And you'd say hi and like wave to me. So I can say, and Kayla, who graduated from Michigan State, she'd always be really nice. And I couldn't ski at all. And like, neither of you probably knew my name when I was a freshman either. But it is really encouraging to have those older people like show face and be really nice and just be like, wow, if I work at it, like I can be good like they are too.
Zoe, that makes me so happy that you said that, because I remember that person for me was Sarah Condra. And I remember when she said hi to me, I was like, no way. Like, and I was having a conversation with her and she was like, dude, say hi to people. I swear it makes a difference. And I was like, really? I was like, I don't know if I should just randomly say. She was like, no, I promise you, like, just say hi, cheer people on. And like, I mean, I love cheering people on, but sometimes I didn't know if I should just like throw myself in like that. So that makes me really happy that I was that person for you. But going back to advice for future women taking leadership roles, I would just say a lot of the times, and this goes for guys too, like politics gets involved on the e-board, and then a lot of people burn bridges with people on the team on e-board or sadly with skiing. So, and I think that's my very first word of advice is don't let e-board or a leadership role or frustration of taking on a team ruin your love for skiing, because I don't know, I don't know. There's like, I can't even find an explanation for that, because it really, has been such a huge impact on my life. So don't let it burn bridges, stay calm. Not everyone's going to think like you do. Wisely articulate how you want to fight your battles. Think how you can actually get your thoughts across the board. And like realistically, even though if it sounds crazy, like think how you could actually say something without just blurting it out there to get people kind of on your side about sticky situations or anything. So that's my biggest advice. Don't let it burn any bridges or ruin your love for skiing, and celebrate the small stepping stones, because I feel like that's gotten Western really small places, not really small places, but celebrating the small things has taken us to big steps. And even though we didn't get to really show our improvement this fall and stuff, I definitely seen a lot of strides in our women's team, which has made me very proud. So
I think that's great advice, especially for women taking on leadership roles, as e-board does get really sticky. From my own personal experience, I've cried in e-board meetings before, and it can just be so difficult because you do have a lot of different leadership styles. And again, reiterating, you're working with people in college, and people in college aren't always the best communicators or leaders, but everyone has the best intentions. So it's really good advice.
So if we're all sharing our OG ski girl crushes, mine was Jessie Carr. I remember the first time I ever saw Jessie ski at a tournament, I was like, she's so cool. I want to be just like Jessie. And she was such a good skier, and she was so low key all the time. And that's kind of how I am. I feel like, some people, Ange and Sarah Condra, are just bubbly, and that's how they are. And it's awesome. And I just could never have that much energy in a day. And so it was I feel like Jessie was that same level of just chill all the time. And I was like, oh my gosh, she is so cool. So flash forward, I still have a girl crush on Jessie Carr. If you ever listen to this, need you to know. But I feel like I got motivated to become a better skier in a really negative way. I feel like when I first started skiing, I had grown up skiing, but I had never competed or anything like that, which is what made it so easy to pick up so fast, I think. But there was a lot of people in leadership on our team or around our team or whatever that, and I don't know if they explicitly said this, but left me with the impression that if I wanted people to listen to me or, follow what I'm doing or trust what I'm saying, I had to be able to ski good enough to prove that I was worth listening to, or I had to stick around long enough that people respected you because they had seen you for so long being a leader, I guess. So part of my determination was definitely like, I have to get good at skiing or like nobody will respect me as a skier, which isn't true. Like, that's the furthest thing from true. Everybody wants to be your friend, and like all the ski girls, like especially like ones that are good at skiing and stuff, it's so intimidating to talk to them, but like they're probably sick of like being surrounded by boys all the time too. So they probably want to be your friend. Like, even though they seem scary to talk to, they totally want to be your friend. So just, I don't know, just don't think that like you need to be good to be respected, or like you need to be able to ski well enough to prove yourself to anything. Like, it's a hobby for everybody. And like the second we forget that, like I think the second things start to get murky, you know, like when we forget that we're all here because of this like shared passion, that's when stuff gets, you know, hard to handle, etc.
Yeah, that's great advice. I think other people can relate to when I took on the captain role, I couldn't ski the course still. And I eventually helped and coached girls to ski the course before I even got the course myself in the captain role. I think it really does show you don't need to be a really good skier to help lead others, even though that's the goal. And you should never forget to improve yourself. But that's really good advice, because some people do think that that's a barrier to getting on O board or leadership on ski. You need to be able to ski 3 events really well. But no,
Yeah.
skiing and leadership do not correlate.
Yeah. For your own personal gain, though, my advice is find a boyfriend that lives on a ski lake. Or if you can't do that, I see you laughing like you haven't thought about it or done it, Missy.
No, I'm right there with you. I agree with you.
So anyways, if you can't do that,
Make friends.
make friends. Just like every opportunity you can to get water time, like do it. Like anytime water comes up, do it. If there's a chance to, like, I was on the national board for a while as the awards chair, and I met people from all over the place. Like, I don't think there's one single place that I could go to where I didn't know somebody that knew somebody that had a lake or somebody that lived on a lake that I couldn't go to. Like, just like network as much as you can for later in life, but also for like your ski career. Just like be a sponge for as much water and like coaching as you can possibly finagle.
I want to jump on that too, because that's all I did while working at Bennett's. I mean, you meet so many people, you know, every single second you get to talk to anybody from another collegiate team, anybody that you get to talk to that, you know, has their own lake, or, you know, they go to a different college that's not even in your region. I spent a lot of my fall down in Texas, and I was skiing with Texas and, well, Texas A&M, and it was a blast. But I live in Nebraska, but I could do that just because, one, COVID made that able to happen, online classes. But if I didn't have any connections anywhere, I wouldn't have gotten to do some of the skiing that I got to do this fall. And I'm forever thankful. Every single opportunity you get to be on the water is an opportunity for you to get better and take as much as you can, because the ski community is so small, yet, you know, it just makes that so much better. You can get to know everyone so quickly and so easily, and almost nobody's going to refuse if you are nice and polite, and almost everyone's willing to give you a pull somewhere. So you're just running around, you're like, hey guys, please. I love skiing. Most people are so kind, and you can't go wrong with the whole community. They're fantastic people.
Yeah.
Did
Hopping
you
on to
sorry. I wanted to roll in. Anna, did you have anything you wanted to add to advice for women leaders?
Yeah, definitely. I would just say don't let people push you around. Like, be solid in the knowledge and confidence that you know what you're doing and you know what you're talking about. And I'm guilty of still doing this. Someone will, you know, say like, oh, but what about this? Or like, you know, I don't know if we should like we should do that or whatever. And I get all, imposter syndrome, and I'm like, oh, they're right. Like, what was I thinking? Like, I don't really know. And then 2 days later, I'm like, no, I was right. Like, and you just really, and this guys, girls, upperclassmen, underclassmen,
Mhm.
I just think that we can all get in our heads sometimes and be worried about, what other people are thinking, is this decision going to make people mad on the team, or am I, just people pleasing the team, or, and I just think it's really important to be confident in your decisions, especially when you are the elected leader. So obviously people trust you to make those decisions. And especially in a year like COVID, where there were so many like difficult decisions to make. Looking back, I doubted myself like all fall about like the decisions I was making to keep the team safe. And looking back, I don't think I could have like played it any differently. So that's my advice for anyone, honestly, is to just be confident and have confidence in yourself and your knowledge of what you're doing.
That's great advice. All the advice I've heard is advice that would have been really helpful when I took on my first leadership role in general on my team. Because crowdsourcing as a leader is something you don't need to do. You can always trust yourself. So that's really good advice. Did anyone have anything more to add to that question?
Yeah, who's Anna's girl crush? You had like a plethora of awesome ski girl crushes to choose from. Still.
There's literally so many. I don't even know where to start. I mean, K Money Dammeyer, Kristen Dammeyer. I mean, how can you not watch that girl and just be like in awe? Claire Hansel, Jordy Stickley, Megan Gilroy. Oh my gosh, all such great leaders on our team and so nice. Sarah Condra definitely was a person that like was super bubbly and came up to me and was like, oh my gosh, hi, like who are you? And also another crazy good skier. I remember Anna Geyer from MSU. She's only 1 year older than me, but we would always be like on the dock next to each other. And it was funny when it was like Anna Geyer and Anna Pryor like right next to each other. But I always thought she was super cool and a really good skier. And yeah, there's literally so many cool girls in our conference and in our region. And I just think we have a really bright future.
We do. Yeah.
Speaking of Claire Hansel was the person for me that I remember when I started dating Lee. We started going down to Swerve all the time because he was friends with Unicorn from college. And Claire Hansel was working at Swerve the first summer I started dating Lee. And she was the person for me that it was like, okay, being good at skiing is attainable. Like she was the first person I saw like get into short line. And she didn't like, grow up on a 3 event like skiing into short line before she could walk. So I definitely also had a really I also thought Claire was super cool because I was like, oh, wow, wait a minute. I could trick 600 points or like 800 points. I could get into short line. So yeah, I can't believe I forgot to mention Claire. Love her.
Claire is a super impressive skier, honestly. Like she improved so much in those 3 months at Swerve. It's crazy. Like even our coach Debbie is like always talks about how Claire's just like a phenom. She's so good. And yeah, went from tricking like a side slide to like 900 points at regionals in one pass, and jumps like 75 feet, short line skier. She's so crazy, but also the most down to earth person, and was our president 2 years ago. So definitely a big inspiration from her.
Wow. Okay. We're almost at time. I do have one more question that gets a little bit more specific with your teams. And it talks about the guy to girl ratio on teams. So if keeping it in a positive light, because I want this panel to be helpful if it can be to teams that do experience a disproportionate ratio of guys to girls, which I think is a commonality among a lot of collegiate teams. What do you think are some of the biggest factors that may deter, in my own experience, having a hard time retaining females year to year, the same females? What do you think are the biggest factors that may deter females away from our sport that we love, but for somehow they don't get this gist that we've been talking about for the last hour? So what do you think those factors are?
I almost think,
Oh,
go ahead. Okay. Like almost just encouragement. You know, we've had a lot of girls come around and they just don't feel like they can do it, or they don't feel like it's their sport. And, you know, I feel bad for them because I came into this sport, can't do anything, didn't know what jump was, didn't know what trick was. But if they watched me now, I could see them being intimidated and I would feel bad for them because I don't want them to be. I'm like, I was in your exact same shoes. You have no idea. All I want for you is get better. And even if that's just, you get up and you ride combos and that's just all you do, you know, that's fantastic. Welcome to the ski world. You're a part of it now. But I I think it's something that confuses all of us is how can we get them in the same excitement that we were when we figured it out? What are they missing? And I don't know how to answer that question, but I worry that a lot of girls just feel intimidated, and I want to know how to encourage them more and to get them into what makes this sport so incredible. But if anybody can figure out how to answer that question, please.
I think like bouncing
Appreciate
off of that just a little bit, like, and I know I did this to some people, and shout out to you for like being like, cool, whatever. But like, I feel like sometimes, on a team that doesn't have a lot of women, you just put so much pressure on their shoulders because you're like so excited they're there and you want them to love it. And you're thinking like, oh my God, a full girls team, like that'd be so cool. And like almost, and I don't know that I ever thought about this much because I'm just like a little over the top sometimes. But like to people that are like new, I wonder if that's just like so much pressure that they're like, whoa, I came here to like, I don't know, ski, hang out. Like these people seemed cool and they like think I'm gonna save this team. Like, do they know that I am not an athlete? Like, so I wonder if like sometimes almost we just are like too excited they're there and we're like not as genuine because we're so excited they're there, maybe. I don't know. But
and
also,
then we throw them off the ramp.
yeah, right.
That's exactly what I was about to say. Because I got so stoked whenever a new girl came on and like obviously loved them for themselves. But
Yeah.
sometimes, and this happens a lot, I think, with like the guys, is that they're like, just send them off the ramp, just send them off the ramp. And it's like a lot of girls, like when I first saw a video of the ramp, I was like, there is no way I'm going to do that. And then I went to a tournament, actually, I went to All Stars in Louisiana. Didn't know that it was in Louisiana. But
That's when she found out.
yeah, until we were in like Tennessee or something like that. I just came for funsies or whatever. But then when I saw all these girls going off the ramp, I was like, you know what? Maybe I can do this. Like this isn't that crazy. Like if they're doing it, I could do it. But I think it's very intimidating to like take on a girl on the team and then being like, oh yeah, so because we recruit in the fall and then it's like first tournament next weekend, you're gonna go off this 5-foot ramp. And then they're like, what? And if someone would have told me that, I think that would have probably scared me. So I think enjoying them for their presence and them as their own being and not being someone who can land a jump or like get up on a trick ski. I think recognizing them for themselves is a big aspect. And then I think something that's helped Western a lot is this year we have 4 girls on e-board now. So I think putting women in leadership roles, I think that's and then when we're setting up booths and stuff for Bronco Bash in the fall, and like when girls walk by and not just seeing a bunch of dudes hanging out in a boat and seeing like a bunch of girls there too, and like girls wearing medals and doing hot girl shit, like I just think that would be a lot more inviting. So putting girls in leadership roles and recognizing them for themselves.
True. I had a bit of a different experience at Cincinnati than I did at Western, though. So Cincinnati has always been just like a girls rule the world kind of team. Like Cincinnati has an awesome alumni base. Like going from Western to Cincinnati, I like am forever trying to tell my team now, like, oh my gosh, you guys don't get how like good we have it here. We have an awesome setup in Cincinnati. But yeah, like we've always had just like a ton of girls on the team. It was always like, when they were on their decade long streak of nationals and like winning regionals, and like when UC was at its prime and stuff like that, like the girls like carried the team. And not just because they had like 5 girls landing a jump, like because they had 5 good girls in every single event. And Lee still talks about that all the time. He's like, man, back in the day, it was just like girls rule everything. And when I got here, I mean, we had full girls teams for absolutely every event all the time. So that was like really cool to me. But I feel like we also like miss out on a lot of the struggle that a lot of other teams have with their girls, because we just have so many, and I don't know how or why, but we do. And they just like keep coming. So maybe you should ask somebody older than me from Cincinnati what their secret was, because they freaking nailed it. There's so many girls here. It's awesome. It's super awesome.
I know something we tried this past summer on Michigan's team was doing girl only trick practices every Friday. And then we also did a girls only training trip down to Swerve. And that was really fun. And we actually had a lot of the younger girls on the trip. And I had one person personally tell me they wouldn't be on the team if it weren't for that trip. And she was an incoming freshman and learning how to ski. So I know that I think helped the team a lot. No, I can say for confidently, it did help the team, because we went from a 4-to-1 guy to girl ratio to a 1-to-1 guy to girl ratio. So I think those really helped this summer.
Love
That's
that.
such a good idea. I've never thought about doing something like that, but I love that idea.
Me too. And if we could ever coordinate that with another team and do like girls only
Big
like
brain
Do like a
trips.
massive Midwest
Oh,
swerve trip
you
or
have
something
no
like that, or a
idea.
Venice
That'd
trip,
be
all girls. That'd be
Christy,
sick.
Christy,
oh my God,
Christy, we have an idea for you.
that'd be
Girls,
It
wild.
was just over last night. I'm gonna call her now.
Okay, I know we've about 5 minutes over, and also we're still recording. So if there's anything anyone would like to say to wrap up, with any advice out there for female leaders on their teams or female new members joining the sport, now is the time to say your piece. Other than that, I'm going to stop recording.
No, thanks for watching.
Okay, yeah, thank you to everyone who watched this. I don't know if this part will be added, but if it is, there are also so many more female leaders that were not part of this podcast. So I just want to shout out, we mentioned a lot of people earlier anyways, and these are just the people Joey and I had to text right away. So thank you to everyone who's made the sport really awesome, and to the female leaders we mentioned earlier. You're all awesome. Thanks.
Thanks for having us, Zoe.
Yeah.